Good afternoon, just about, should be where you are when you get this missive. Hi, it's me, Luca, landing in your inbox here in the middle of the month. Sometimes I send out these missives halfway through the month as a check-in and as a place to talk about some of the things that I've been seeing in clients or some themes that I'm seeing showing up. And so I wanted to tell you that I've landed, everything is good. I'm now here in The Hague. So my husband and I have moved to the Netherlands for the next year at least, maybe up to 3, we'll see. And it was for work. So because my work is portable, I've taken it along with me. And so I'm getting to know a whole new way of doing life, a whole new way of living, and a whole new city. We are 10-minute bike ride that way to get to the beach. So it's been a beautiful thing to go wander and visit. And just getting on the local transit and figuring out what does it mean to be living in The Hague? It's a beautiful city. It's not a massive city, but it is lovely and so far so good. So what's happened since I last sent out a missive at the end of August, beginning of September? I have now opened up my doors again to see clients one-on-one. So the system in order, because I've had a flurry and an influx, quite a bit of new people coming and joining and requesting some support. So I've had to enact a wait list, which is exciting for me, but also a bit of a bummer for you because it means I can only invite you when there are spots in the schedule to invite you. So all this means is that the wait time right now is 1 to 2 weeks. So fill in the wait list if you need to. I'll drop it in the links just below this video. If ever you wanted to work one-on-one, or if you're a former client looking to continue support, everything is going to be through that wait list form. So go ahead and book in through that, and that'll alert me, and then I'll get in touch when there's an opening. And you'll be first come, first serve kind of deal. Yeah. So here's the other news. We're moving into fall. We're moving into fall everywhere, like across the board for people in Canada, people here in Europe as well. There is a palpable shift going on. So I'm gonna, not everybody wants to listen to me jabber on. So I'm gonna tell you that I have together a coupon that is in your email for newsletter people that will give you 50% off one of 2 recipe programs to celebrate the shifting of the seasons. I am always on about aiming to eat more along the lines of what is in season and what traditionally might have been consumed according to the season for our ancestors, our predecessors, the people before us. Because our genetics evolved with that and with the information from our environment. And when we align ourselves back into nature through eating in a seasonal way, there's a lot of biochemistry that is actually well supported. And a lot of little things that aren't working well start to right themselves when we go towards a more seasonal approach. So I'm always on about eating with the seasons. And this shift right now is a very palpable one that I'm finding. I don't know if you are too. So I wanted to offer to my newsletter peeps only a coupon to save 50% off of one or both, if you want, of these recipe programs, just to help get you into the groove of it all. So I'm going to take you through what those 2 recipe programs look like. Both of them are the exact same kind of scenario. They both offer a couple of recipes a week for 4 weeks. And we dive into a little bit of different things in each program. But let's go through what that actually looks like. Instead of me trying to summarize it, let's just look at the images, shall we? Okay, let me share my screen. Bing. Okay, so the first one is a series of hot chocolate clock. So when we turn into the fall season, I don't know about you, but I feel a call to make more warm drinks. And it's one of those delivery vehicles, I think, for this extra nutrition. One way to upgrade and make sure that we're getting some of these good things into our regimen in order to support our biochemistry in the body. So one of the easiest and most tasty ways to do it is with a daily cup of hot chocolate. That's not hard. So this is for the person who is looking as a way to upgrade their drink game and how to get their hot cuppa on. This is how I cuppa. So let's go through it. In this program, you get 2 recipes a week for 4 weeks. We talk about how to build your daily cuppa, ways to up-level the nutrition, why this is about deep nutrition, and about an invitation to don that new superpower of yours, consistency. That is true in everything I do, actually. So you got 4 weeks. In that first week, we learn how to build a nourishing base. So this is about reducing inflammation. This is using medicinal mushrooms. We start with reishi, but I talk about ways to then flesh out to other medicinal mushrooms. And here we're talking about the whole chunks of mushrooms and why those might be easier. So that's a good one. We talk about where to source ingredients. I give you some tips, some links, and what to look for. Your 2 recipes in that first week, you've got the reishi long brew and a very simple hot choc o'clock. So that gets you started. Now, in the second week, we go into other elixirs to try. So another way to expand how to use your long brew and how to think about this on a seasonal bent kind of thing, if you will. So here this week, we get into non-chocolate alternatives, so ways to reduce inflammation even more. We talk about simple golden milky tea, which is a turmeric milk, but we elevate it with a bunch of other things, how to keep it simple, and a sort of variety of different ways to upgrade it. And then, because we're getting into the fall season, there's a coconut pumpkin latte. Yeah. You know the pumpkin lattes you can get at famous coffee chains? This is a much better alternative that will just nourish you deeply, and you'll still have delicious things to look forward to. In the third week, we look to upgrade again. So in this hot chocolate series of recipes, consistency is key, ways more to upgrade, as why this is a seasonal invitation. Your 2 recipes is how to now elevate that hot chocolate clock, depending on the season, depending on what you have on the go, how to make it your own. And then we also have a white chocolate matcha latte. And if matcha doesn't sit well, we talk about moringa. So we try to fit the bill for as many people as we can in these recipe programs. In the 4th week, we talk about magnesium. Yeah, and why sourcing well is key and where to find some of these ingredients. We highlight the nutrients as well that you are looking to add in and what kind of benefits they will bring to your body. We talk about maca root in particular this week and the kind of things that she is great at helping with. And then you have 2 recipes. The first one is a salted caramel mocha, which is kind of next level. It's so easy to make, I wouldn't kid ya. And the butter chai tea. The butter chai tea is actually my favorite recipe in the whole series. It is a chai spice blend and then how to make a butter chai version of it. You shouldn't even call it butter chai tea. It's like calling it butter tea. So just call it butter chai. Yeah. So butter chai, which is quite possibly my favorite recipe, why it's important to upgrade and what it does and how absolutely perfect for the fall season this recipe is. Oh yeah, anything with chai flavors or with Indian flavors you would associate with curries or Indian flavors in particular, those are in particular really, really good for the fall season, the lungs, and for everything that comes at us when the fall season is around. So that is the hot chocolate clock. So if you like what I just went through, I want you to go back to your email where you got this video from. In there, you're going to get the coupon code to save 50% off of this program. I'll also have a link over there. I'll put a link to the program below here too. But the coupon itself is only available in your email because this video is going to be out to everybody. And only newsletter people will get the coupon. So that's the first program. The second recipe program I've got is, voila, the fall recipes. So here we're getting into the seasonal eating and some of the ways of reinserting yourself into the rhythms of Mother Nature. And I love this idea of fall recipes for a couple of different reasons. You know, I'll speak to this after I wrap up the explanation here, but yeah, if you're paying attention, your body's requesting different foods when the seasons change. And this program gives you all the recipes that your body's asking for. Yeah. So what do we look at? In this program, we're looking at braised meat, some root veg sides, batch prep recipes. There's a sauerkraut recipe, which is a perfect time of year to make some kraut. We also have some desserts and hot cuppas in the program. So let's go week by week. In that first week of fall recipes, why eating seasonal is important. There's a write-up here and information about why this is about ancestral wisdom. We also talk about the role of protein and what protein can do in the fall for the organ at in question. Now, each season kind of has a main organ and a corresponding organ according to traditional Chinese medicine. And that is what has informed this recipe program, as a matter of fact. And in the fall happens to be the lungs. And the secondary one are the bones. And so in these recipes, we're talking about the role of protein in particular and where to find it. So pulled pork recipe and a braised short rib recipe. Okay, now I want braised short ribs. Great. Week 2, what are we looking at? We look at why root and squash is so important, some of the health benefits here and where to source them and different ideas. You've got a couple of recipes here. There's a 3-veg mash that you can mix and match all kinds of root veg. There's an aloo gobi recipe, which is amazing. It's a nightshade-free recipe. There's also rutabaga fries, and you could do that with turnips. You can do that with all kinds of root vegetables, carrots, parsnips. You can use the same recipe, just a different vegetable. And I talk about that in the recipe. So this is a way to maximize those root veg that are so abundant in the fall season, a bunch of different ways to just kick it up a notch. Week 3 in the fall recipes, we talk about the concept of batch prep cooking, some traditional food smarts, and we get into pizza sauce. And for those who have histamine issues or cannot tolerate tomatoes, there's a no tomato sauce. We talk about blitzed lentils, which is another one that I love to prepare in the fall, and how to actually properly activate the lentils to make it easier to digest. We also look at sauerkraut, making your own sauerkraut. There's a video and everything. I know. You're welcome. Week number 4, the final week of that fall recipe program, are flavors for the season. What flavors are the ones you want to reach for when it comes to the fall season? In here, you get a chart too of the foods to eat for the season. Like there's a bunch of extras that are in these particular seasonally based recipe programs. But here in the fall one, you get the flavors for the season. You get a daily cuppa, why it's so important. There's a ginger cardamom tea, that butter chai recipe is here as well. You also get the perfect food for fall, pears, poached pears. It's just fun to say. So these are all part of the fall recipes once a week for 4 weeks. If this is the one you want to reach for, then know that the link to that is in 2 spots below this video and in your email. The coupon code to save 50% off of it is in your email. So go back to that newsletter email. That's where you'll find it. Now that's it for the offerings now. And I wanted to just save this or serve this as a way to an invitation to shift with the season. What do I mean by shifting with the season? Well, it came to my attention maybe this was before the pandemic, like I want to say 2018, maybe 6 years ago, where there was this awareness, maybe 7 years ago even, in working with a practitioner at the time. Her name is Claire Cummings. I love Claire. Claire and I were chatting about what we were noticing in our bodies and what is happening in the season as there was a shift of a season somewhere. And some of the questions from our conversation that day just really kind of opened up this rabbit hole of different ideas that have really helped serve my journey to understanding how food can be so nutritious. You know, it's so much more than getting your antioxidants and getting all those things. I think a lot of people first get into nutrition because they want to know what nutrient does what. But eventually, there's a letting go of that and much less of a micro managing approach to nutrients and more of an invitation of curiosity. And one of the ways into this curiosity I'm going to share with you today is this awareness of seasonal shifts and paying attention to what that looks and feels like in the body. So I'll invite you to do the same thing. So some of the questions you can ask yourself, and I'll give you some ideas on how to do this as well in a second, but some of the questions you can ask yourself is, what am I noticing that's different? And just leaving it with curiosity, a really wide open question that can come with so many different answers. And you don't have to answer it right away. You just have to sit with the question. What am I noticing that's different? What am I noticing that's different? And if you sit with that for a few days, you're going to start to see some potential answers kind of pop up. in the middle of nowhere where you wouldn't expect it, or right when you're asking that question. And what is it that you're noticing? For me, when I undertook this the first time, I noticed that it was in spring actually, and it wasn't even in spring. It was like the end of January. I just remember it so clearly. It was the end of January. It was totally dead of winter, like the middle, the most bleakest, coldest time of the year where like, do I even have to step outside? Is that necessary right now? And I remember feeling like, oh, there's like a stirring of something where I want to eat something green. I want to sprout something in my kitchen. I want to sprout some seeds. And it felt like a stirring of something that had been given the ability and the capacity to rest. So, in order for me to feel that in January, I think I put in the beginning steps in fall and in winter to rest and to just allow things to calm and stay dormant and go into that winter season. And I was feeling the stirrings of the upward energy coming from the deep of winter starting to climb up. So that's how I experienced it. And now I love to do this in every season. Now, granted, I just moved a million miles away from Calgary, and I'm living in a completely different climate, different part of the world, below sea level, as a matter of fact, as opposed to 3,700 meters in the air in Calgary. So there's a lot of differences that are for sure playing into my days and into what I'm noticing. But given that it is still the same latitude actually as Calgary, so the daylight amount is the same, what am I noticing that's different? And even though it is still warm and beautiful sunny days with absolutely brilliant skies, peppered with a few torrential downpours, because this is a very rainy city on the coast of the Netherlands, I am noticing that the nights are cooler and there is a desire to get warm and cozy at night. And I didn't have that. Well, I did have it maybe the first couple of nights because it was very rainy here in the Netherlands, but I didn't have that in Calgary. Granted, it was like still the 3 month long hot heat wave that was going on. But there really is a palpable shift. The daytime, there's still, you look outside and you're like, no, everything points to summer. It's still warm. It's still sunny. I'm still in t-shirts. I could totally get away with wearing shorts and sandals all day long. No one wears sandals here. What's with that? There's like a beach down the road. Nobody wears sandals on the beach. I don't get it. Anyway, it's my observation. But since arriving, I've paid attention and my desire on how to eat is shifting a little bit. So I'll invite you to do the same. In the next couple of weeks, we're just coming up to the fall equinox. Is it equinox? The seasonal change. I always use the wrong terms because for me, it's just a concept in my brain and I assign the name that I think people give it, and I don't attach any meaning to the name because it's more about the feeling for me. But I'll invite you to pay attention. What is shifting? What is changing for you? What are you noticing that's different? What are you noticing in what your body's asking for, in the types of foods you want to reach for? What are you noticing with your activities? What are you noticing? Take it one step further. What are you noticing in the outside world? What's different about how the outside world is right now? So if I look to the plants on the balcony here, the hot peppers are turning red really quickly. It's hard to keep up with them. It's not that hard. I'm eating them. But what does that signify? Well, if I look to, we have some horse chestnut trees here that I'm just getting to know. The horse chestnut trees are starting to turn brown. The leaves are turning brown, withering and falling to the ground. What are the energetics of this season? It's that downward energy. It's the natural world going inwards. What is that feeling like in myself? How is that manifesting? How is that showing up? And just sitting with those questions and just being curious to what comes out. And if nothing comes out, that's okay. You'll get there. Sometimes reigniting that curiosity is really difficult when we've been, I don't know, I was certainly told for a long time, don't use your imagination, stick to science, stick to the facts, keep it real. I just want what others have deemed is okay. I like to get in touch with that intuitive piece and with the curiosity piece. So, through the lens of wonder, through the lens of curiosity, can you invite that question? What is different? What is shifting? What am I noticing? And how will I flow with it? May you have a sense of flow ahead of you. And if any of those recipe programs would help you move with the flow, please use them. They're at 50% off, so they're $10 each. It's a really good deal for a bunch of recipes. And the nice part about it is you get a weekly reminder to get reinserted into it and to work it into what your days look like, what your meals look like. So if you're curious, if you need a reinfusing of new ideas when it comes to foods, please take me up on my offer. The offer will be good until the end of September. Coupon expires on the last day of September. Thanks for tuning in. I hope all is well with you wherever the shifts and the winds are taking you, and we'll connect again down the line. Salut, à bientôt.